Welcome into Husker247 Daily. I'm Mike Schaefer, joined by Brian Christopherson this morning, the day after Nebraska's 20-17 win over Cincinnati. BC was on the scene at Arrowhead Stadium. Brian, just 7 hours later or so, how are you processing Nebraska's kind of squeak through win? I guess I don't know what we want to call it, over Cincinnati. That ended with Malcolm Hartzog, of all players, coming away with a huge interception, making the play, a big common theme for Nebraska. How are you feeling about all of it here this morning?
Well, as I was writing stuff, I was thinking about other first games in the last few years. And I know it's a new team and all that, but your mind can't help but go to like 23 Minnesota or the 22 game in Dublin or 21 at Illinois, and just how poorly those went for Nebraska and the long trips back home for Husker fans. So there were some parts that need to be oiled. There's no question about it with this Husker football team, but that's sort of what you expect in week one of college football. And I guess I kind of settle on that point. Like, if you can get out of it 1-0 and you have the tape now in front of you of this is what we need to do on this side of the ball, this is what we have to do on that side of the ball, there's these various things we can work out. We'll see where they go from here, but to be 1-0 and to find a way to win a close game, which we all know is a big narrative with this program, the more they can kind of move past that, that's a good thing. And maybe Thursday night's game is just another step for that. So it was nice seeing Malcolm Hartzog, like a guy who has had his ups and downs sometimes and been heavily critiqued, come up with a big play, especially like 6 to 7 seconds after he gets flagged and got beat on a 4th and 7 a few plays before that. So it was a kind of a nice redemption story for him in the moment.
Big win for the people that want you to think like a goldfish. Forget what just happened before.
Yeah.
You can move on with what's next. You can
Ted Lasso it, huh?
Yeah, the Ted Lasso would have been really proud of Malcolm Hartzog last night. You were on the scene. I mean, how did the players, coaches sound in the postgame?
I think they were, it was a shorter post game. There was like 4 or 5 questions of Dylan Raiola, so it's not like it was a deep dive on all their thoughts on it. I think like they thought they left some plays out there. There's no question about it. But I also, think as Rule said, there's a lot of young players on this team. They're adjusting to sort of the scene of playing at like Arrowhead Stadium and some of that. I thought it was a team that looked really jittery in the first quarter. You could especially tell on both sides of the ball. And so I think you look at the second quarter, and I'm kind of getting away from your question, Schaefer, but the second quarter was a good example where they'll put on the tape on both offense and defense, and they're going to see encouraging things. And so I think it's probably going to be one of those film sessions where you can kind of bounce around and there's going to be a lot of teach tape, but then there's going to be those moments where you're like, see, there it is, and you can flash it in front of them. And so I think there was probably a mixed reaction to it, but all in all, there's just a satisfaction to go home 1-0 and then begin the process anew. They're going to be in the weight room at 11 a.m. on Friday, getting back after it for the next week. And so that's sort of the mentality you have. And it's a lot easier to go in there when you won 2017 as opposed to lost 24-20 or something like that.
Who stood out for you? Who's going to enjoy watching themselves on tape when they look back at this game here today? I'm sure a lot of them already have on the short flight back or what have you. Who stood out for you, Brian Christopherson, in this game on Thursday?
I mean, I think you saw in Isaiah Hunter's a guy who can make some special plays. Obviously, the touchdown catch, but the 24-yarder, which was Nebraska's biggest play of the day, he made a great adjustment on the ball to get it. And so he was already putting out the proof that he can win those 50-50 balls. I think Luke Lindenmeyer, who, I've been a big on his fan club, just is one of the most steady players on this roster. Then, the defensive backs are going to like the film. I mean, they only gave up like 69 passing yards. And you have to say the corners, like Sierra Wright, I didn't really notice him,
He was
which
so
is
good you didn't see him in the
yeah,
game.
that's a good
Yeah.
thing. And Andrew Marshall, you might say the same. And then, of course, Donovan Jones, who we both like, Omaha North grad. I'll throw that in there. But, I mean, he's just like a gamer, and he's out there in that last drive, and he was getting physical with the receiver there. And I think since he wanted a flag on the one on him, but didn't get it. But nonetheless, he's just a sturdy, sort of steely-minded guy for a redshirt freshman, and I thought he played really well. So I think those guys will like what they saw. There's some guys on the D line too, like the interior, even though they gave up the rushing yards, that had moments like Keona and RVP, where I think they can gain some confidence from some of the parts of that game. Not all of it, but there's going to be some things that they'll take, and it's going to be really useful for them going forward.
As a sports reporter, sports writer, whatever we want to call ourselves, it's nice when stuff kind of lines up just perfectly. You couldn't ask for a better debut for Nebraska's specialist last night. Archie Wilson was absolutely nails in his 4 punts. Kyle Keenanen comes on and hits a 52-yarder that was dead straight. I mean, it didn't go right down the middle, but that ball never moved off the line that it was on. And then Kevin Gallick was so good, nobody needed to know his name, which is exactly how he wanted to draw it up. So for Nebraska, I mean, just a tremendous start on special teams.
Yeah, I mean, the Cunanan kick from 52, he had never hit one in a college game beyond 50. So that was a big moment for him. That's his first kick as a Husker. And I was watching him in warmups. He hit a few from beyond 50, and he has the leg. He was even trying them from 60. Like he could have got it there from that distance, judging by the warmups. That was a huge kick, I thought, because as we had said earlier, the first quarter, it felt like it was uneven. Nebraska didn't quite have its footing. And so when he made it, instead of Cincy having good field position and the lead, it sort of reset the game, I thought. And then Nebraska really responded that the rest of that quarter. So he was great. And then Archie, I mean, Archie Wilson, first college game. It's still an amazing story to be that comfortable and pin the other team inside the 23 times, maybe inside the 10 3 times, at least twice.
It was inside the 20 three times. Inside the 20 was one of them, and then deeper inside the 10 two different times, including just an absolute gotta have it. Put the ball at the 9-yard line with 2 minutes and change left to go in the game. Like, it was for a guy who's never punted in America before in a game to do that on his 4th career punt. I mean, like, I don't want to overdo it, but that's pretty special from that kid.
Yeah, and what didn't surprise me either that he did it. I think he's just got that way about him that, and you've heard so much that you kind of expect him to have success. But yeah, we've seen so many guys at that position through the years hit one off the side of their foot in that moment, and it goes 15 yards, and then suddenly Cincinnati has the ball on the 30-yard line. And obviously Nebraska needed every yard of that as Cincinnati moved down to the 33 or 34-yard line. So it was quite a job by him. You're talking about guys who stood out. Obviously, Emmett Johnson, I think you got to give credit. Like, there's probably a run or two he'll look back and thought, I could have hit it over here and maybe taken it for more. But 32 touches doesn't shock me, because I kind of thought this was going to be an eyes on Emmet game. I wrote about it last week, where they got to ride him to get through this first week, and then maybe the next 2 weeks you can let Mackay and Mosey kind of fill it out and grow a little bit more. But obviously he was big too, and it was a physical game. He took some big hits in that one.
Yeah, he definitely did, and Nebraska needed him to basically have every touch that he did, because I don't know. Probably don't feel great about what's behind Emmett Johnson at the moment, if just going off with a handful of carries for everybody else. Brian, we don't have a lot of time left, so it doesn't give you a ton of time to expand on the answer. What's an area that you want to see Nebraska noticeably better over the next few weeks here as they get into their season?
Well, I mean, obviously you'd start by, when you look at the stat sheet, they gave up 202 rushing on 30 carries. Now, the good thing about that is I don't think they're going to see a lot of quarterbacks quite like Sorsby that are on their schedule, and sort of the dilemma that he put puts a defense in. And so that might help them, and it might not be as much of a problem case as it sort of looks because of this one game and just sort of who you went against. I just wrote about it, though. I think on the other side of the ball, I believe they've got a lot of playmakers still on offense, and I believe in the wide receivers. We mentioned some of them, but obviously, you can't live each week with just one play of more than 20 yards. You've got to take some weight off your shoulders and not have all these 12, 13 play drives. I mean, the killer drive was the 16 play drive where you get to the 1 and then you have the false start and you only get 3 points. It's stuff like that just eats you alive. So I think Cincinnati's defense, you have to give them some credit for that. They kind of play sort of this zone defense, which makes you they keep everything in front of them. And Dylan had to play kind of a mature game and just not make mistakes in that way. But as they go forward, I think they're going to want to show that they can stretch the field at times, probably more than they did on Thursday.
All right, Brian Christopherson down there in Kansas City after Nebraska's 20-17 win. All right, that does it for Husker Daily this week. We'll be back on Monday. It doesn't matter to us that it's Labor Day. We work every day of the week this time of year, and so we'll be back with Husker Daily content on Monday. The Sunday side session returns this season yet again. That'll be on Sunday. Got a guest lined up for that. That'll be mid-mornings on Sunday. And, of course, if you just want all the coverage that you can ask for, Husker247.com has everything you want to see from Nebraska's 20-17 win over Cincinnati. For Brian Christopherson, I'm Mike Schaefer. We're Husker 24/7. We'll catch you next time.